So if I talk, the owl will start the recording. Okay, good evening and welcome to the Needham Commission on Disabilities first meeting back since the summer break on Tuesday, September 17th. We're meeting in the Needham Police Station and we are ready to get started. And the first agenda item is to talk about the special education grant application. So Stephanie, I understand that you're on deck for that. Aaron wrote it, but he is going to let you do the presenting, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well and school year is off to a good start for everybody. I am here to present and haven't done this before. So am I going through the whole grant application as to the necessity or?
So I think you could give us the executive summary. I sent it out via email. Everybody should have had a chance to read through it. It is fairly straightforward, at least I think it is. So maybe you could just give us a quick review and then we can see if we have any questions and then move on from there.
Sure. The application was made on behalf of our Intensive Learning Center at Newman Elementary School, and Aaron Blinder and I worked on the application. It is requesting classroom dividers. We currently have 9 kindergarten students who joined us in the Intensive Learning Center from our preschool. And so we are looking to use the dividers in the classroom to create some space where students can work more individually or in small groups with their teachers or teaching assistants. The Intensive Learning Center is our district-wide program that starts in the preschool and goes through till the age of 22. It is our in-district program for students with developmental delays, cognitive delays, intellectual disabilities, autism. And we have programming at 2 of our elementary schools currently, Newman and Sonita, but this specific request was made for the additional Newman classroom that we created this year for our rising kindergartners.
Okay, terrific. Welcome, Alexa. We just got started. So, and I am remiss in not doing introductions and welcome. So would you mind introducing yourself to everybody?
Oh, sure. My name is Jill Yanofsky and I represent CPAC.
And she is here to join us for the meeting this evening. So we are glad to have you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, of course. All right, Alexa, are you ready to go? Okay, great. And we are, as you can see, all here in the lovely police training room. Thank you, Officer Kelly, for setting this up. And Tatiana unfortunately couldn't join us, but she sent 2 folks from the HR team who were amazing and set us all up. And so Lynn and I, as you can see, are here as well. So anyway, so any questions about what Stephanie shared and the special education grants? Yes.
A question, Stephanie. I know my son went through the Early Learning Center. I was wondering what the difference is between the Early Learning Center, which is all at Sonita now, right? It kind of broke off from Newman. Am I right? Or
currently we have made a shift programming wise, and all of our learning centers are now named ILCs, and they either stand for, depending on student profile, Intensive Learning Center or Intermediate Learning Center, depending on the needs. So we moved away from the Early Learning Center and tried to streamline programming from preschool to post-grad.
Okay, so do other schools have an Intensive Learning Center, or is it really just Newman for the district?
Newman and Sonita currently house.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So they both have classrooms currently.
And will those students in the ILC stay at Newman, or is the idea that they go on to Sonita after a certain age? I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
We
It's different.
shifted a little bit in the last few years around how programming works for the ILCs. So current students who will start at Newman will complete their elementary education at Newman. Unless there is a need for a change to a Sonita classroom based on cohort or student profile. And then students who have started at Sonita will see through their elementary years in the ILC at Sunita. We made a decision this year with the large group of rising kindergartners to create a cohort at Newman for them.
Mhm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, good question. Anything else? Any other questions about the program or the grant application? If not, I would entertain a motion of some sort.
Well, do we actually, what is the motion for?
Well,
they
we
asking
need
for
to
support?
approve the grant application, either, I believe.
And where's the?
So the funding comes from the handicap parking fines. And we have more than enough money. I can't remember what the total is. Last time we checked, I want to say it's like 7,000.
Nice.
Yeah, but Tatiana can let us know for sure, but there is more than enough money to cover this grant application. And Stephanie, the total for the grant application?
The total is roughly, I was just actually looking back. It is
$31.99.
$31.99. Yep.
So just
Okay.
one more thing,
Yes.
out of curiosity, how do you make the distinction between something that the education budget pays for and something that you apply for a grant for?
That's a good question. And this is one that I needed to reach out to for other district members for, because of, this is a need that wasn't budgeted for within our operating budget for school equipment or furniture. And Trish Mullen had mentioned to me previously when the second classroom was created for our postgraduate and high school program. And then we created a second classroom at Pollard, that this was something that NCOD was able to kind of help out with because it was kind of off budget and cycle. And so that was how we decided to apply for the grant and see if it was something that could be supported.
Yeah, that makes sense, thank you.
Yeah, also a good question. Yeah. So is there any more discussion or questions before we move to a vote? But I think we need a motion, right?
I move to accept the grant request.
I'll second it.
Second.
Okay. So all in favor, I think I can do in the room, and then I think I have to go around on video based on the meeting laws. So.
I thought it was just all roll call, Carol.
Okay, yeah. All right, so I vote to approve. Pardis?
Approve.
Approve.
Yes.
Maureen?
Approve.
Jeannie?
Approve.
Alexa?
Approve.
Felix?
Approve.
Karen? And Lynn?
Approve.
Yeah, okay. So the grant application passes, and
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I will let Tatiana know, and then she will work out the finer details of getting it processed, et cetera. So, so thank you for the information and presenting it.
Thank
Maureen.
you very much.
Yes, one question or one request, I guess. Stephanie, when it's all built out and the dividers and everything's in place, can you take a picture and send it to us? Because we'd really like to see
Of
how it's
course.
all set up and how it all looks.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we're trying to do is be more in social media and the past grant applications. Maureen and I, for example, had our picture taken at the NCC when we got the wheelchairs. So I think it is really terrific to help promote the fact that we have these grants that are available. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
and we'd love to have you to the ILC. If you have time, I can have Erin reach out to see, if we can have you to Newman.
Field trip.
Okay.
Yeah, field trips.
All right, open invitation. All right, thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
with that, of course, we had that first, since we thought Erin might be here, so we are moving on to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was June 18th. Is there any questions or comments or corrections on the minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to accept the minutes of the June 2024 meeting as submitted.
Thank you. Is there anybody that would second that?
I will second it.
All right, thank you, Lynn. All in favor, and I'm going to have to go around again. I approve. Carol Thomas. Pardis?
Approve.
Thank you. Maureen?
Approve?
Jeannie?
Approve.
Alexa?
Approve.
Felix?
Approve.
And Karen?
Approve.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so with that, we're going to move along to the co-chairperson's report. And just as a reminder, Jeannie and I sort of divide up the responsibilities. Jeannie and I are the co-chairs, and I take the first half of the year, and Jeannie takes the second half of the year. If we alternated, neither one of us would remember, so that's why we do it this way. So I'm up for the first half of the year. So one piece of business that's outstanding is the recognition plaque for Serenity Nails. So I believe it has come in and that Tatiana has it. So we just need to present it, I do believe.
Let me reach out to Tatiana this week and see if I can get in touch with the comms person for the city of Needham. This is Karen, because I
Yes.
think we should make sure that we get like a PR something out of that, like a
Yes.
yes.
And so should they. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a lovely opportunity for both parties
Right.
involved. Yeah.
and possibly the Chamber of Commerce. So I'll draft that email tonight and send it up and copy the board chairs for that email, and then just see how we can move forward and how long it'll take them to like send out a sort of press release, and I can draft it if they need me to.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
No problem.
Video is moving with further and further.
Yeah, Officer Kelly says she can get a comfort dog.
Yeah, great. Awesome.
Actually at the station.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, thank you. The next piece is the Harvest Fair representation. I know Officer Kelly, speaking of Officer Kelly, has represented us well as at the past. We've had brochures there that she has had at the police table. But I just wanted to see if anybody else was interested in going and representing us. I'm trying to remember the date now.
September 29th.
Thank you.
Yes.
September 29th.
I believe.
Okay. So if you're
Unfortunately, I'm already
interested-
staffing another table, so I can't do it.
Bye. See you.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So if anybody is interested, you can feel free to reach out and let me or Officer Kelly know. She will be there. She'll have our brochures on the table. Marie will be floating around. I'm going to try to mute Marie. All right. And then there was another communication that I wanted to call to everybody's attention about town training to be on committees. I think Jeannie forwarded that out. So it sounds like it's a great opportunity for us all to learn how to do our jobs a little bit better. So I just wanted to remind everybody that if you're interested in doing that, I think there were 2 sessions. So you can feel free to sign up for that. Oh, Pardis is here in person. Oh, yes. It is great to see you.
I'm arriving. Let's go.
Excellent.
See you. Thank you.
All right. So she's here in person. Wonderful. All right. Any questions about the town training? Okay.
So what was it? Town training?
There's a town training about how to serve on committees or commissions for the town of Needham.
But that is it still about the grant?
No, so we voted and approved the grant. And so we moved on to the town training. Jeannie sent out the details via email last week. Okay. So with that, I have one last thing, which is Jeannie and I talked a little bit about, we are the Needham Commission on Disabilities. And, we've talked in the past, and I think Felix especially has helped us with inclusive language. And I'm not quite sure we're ready for this yet, but we just want to sort of float this concept. A lot of groups are talking about accessibility services instead of disability. So, but we are part of a COD system. Massachusetts has a number of commissions on disabilities. So I'm not sure that folks are quite ready, for that change yet, but I just wanted to sort of throw it out there and see what all of you thought. There's no reason that we can't be the change leader. So I was just curious what your reaction was. Are you comfortable with the Needham Commission on Disability name? Do you like accessibility services? Jeannie and I just wanted to get your thoughts on the matter. Jeannie.
Well, I thought Tatiana was going to look into whether this was even possible. Do you know if she got anywhere on that?
She is going to look into it. Yep. And so she can report back at our next meeting. But we just wanted to sort of float it as something that we had thought of and we're considering. So we'll find out sort of the process, to do that, if that's something that we could do. And we're just curious if you had any real reaction to it one way or another.
Carol, could you repeat it again? What was the proposed name, new one?
Yeah, so one option would be something focused on accessibility services. A number of other organizations are focused on accessibility services versus disability. So I do think we need to be aware of inclusive language. Like we talk now about accessible parking versus handicap parking. And Felix helped us, through that one, last year. So I just want to make sure that we're being as inclusive as possible. So it was just a thought. It's something that Tatiana is checking out and we'll report back to all of you, but we just wanted to bring it up as a possibility. And if you have any thoughts.
So instead of, go ahead.
Sorry. Along with the possible name change, which I like the idea, I thought that by state law, though, each town had to have a commission on disabilities. So if we do the change in name, it has to be incorporated into our town bylaws, which means it has to go through town meeting. But I think our scoping language should still maintain that we're going to be the designated commission on disabilities per the state law, so that the town is compliant with it. But also, I think this is good timing because we also need to increase our kind of acceptance and profile with the town, where one of the other commissions I serve on was invited to serve on this visioning panel for the town, with an internal visioning panel to reshape downtown and kind of come up with a visioning strategy for what downtown Needham and the Great Plain Ave corridor should look like. But from what I've been told, the NCOD wasn't invited to be a member on that panel. And I think that this will be a good kind of opportunity to get in front of the powers that be in town and say, hello, we're here. We really should be included in these discussions.
Yeah. So thank you for that. So we'll check in with Tatiana on that. And I think there may well be some guidelines around the Commission on Disabilities, but I think the important thing is for us to focus on inclusive language. Perhaps we can update some language on our website to be more about accessibility services versus disabilities, even if we keep the name. So there is more to come. And as you have thoughts on the matter or suggestions, feel free to share them. Okay.
Do we think accessibility is limiting? Should it be something? Oh. Sorry, this is Karen. I can't tell if anyone else is talking.
No, you're good. You talk.
Something like accessibility, the Needham Commission on Accessibility and Inclusion. Like accessibility to me feels like limited to access to buildings and things versus with some of the things we do as CPAC, it's more about like inclusion.
Inclusion, yeah. And so there's many aspects to this discussion, so I don't want us to get too distracted this evening, but it was just a thought, and I think we should always focus on inclusive language, and maybe we could review our website, because I think even if we keep the same name, there's some opportunities to update the language on our website to be more inclusive. So that is a good thought as well.
Felix has a good point too about it. If we did do the change, it would have to make a bylaw change, which would bring us before the town, which would actually be a really good thing, I think, because it would just make people aware that we're here. For a lot of people that don't know we exist, it would, just kind of put us front and center for a little bit, which would be a good thing.
Yes, I think so. So Tatiana's researching this. Jeannie and I just wanted to plant the seed and sort of introduce the concept. There would need to be a lot more discussion, and there's many aspects to this. So thank you for your thoughts. I think this is a good start. And unless there's anything else anybody wants to say or share, I'm going to move us along to our current initiatives. Okay. So that brings us to the CPAC school transportation issue. Karen, are you in a position where
Sure.
you can sort of
Yeah.
summarize?
So I monitor a lot of the Facebook groups in town and look for anything where there seems to be a lot of chatter that relates to disability access and inclusion. And one of the things that came up in the last week or so was a lot of parents of children that have out of district placements saying that Needham has not provided transportation to these out of district placements due to a perceived like shortage of drivers. And this was something that they had wanted help with in elevating to the town and the district to be compliant with those out of district placements, which need to include transportation. So that was something we were hoping to bring up with the CPAC representative at the meeting to sort of ask if there could be a escalation process or discussion about how these families can get that help that they need. People are missing work and having to hire neighbors, and it sounds like all sorts of stressful.
So Karen,
Yeah.
Have we independently verified that this is more than just like one or two families? Have we checked with the school system?
I mean, I don't think we can personally verify like protected information, but
but ask the school system, is this a real issue? And actually.
So I can respond to this because it is an ongoing issue in terms of transportation, but I don't want to jump in front of you, Jill, if you have.
No, not at all. It's actually, I was going to refer right to you because you would, that's amazing.
So I have been working directly with two families where transportation has been an issue for the start of school. But I have been in daily communication with them. I think one thing that is of note is that transportation, since returning from the pandemic, is an area where we see the most shortage in drivers. And on a yearly basis, establishing routes has been something where if we add a student to a location that wasn't planned for, it can take extra time. We do communicate with families, but it is something we're trying to work on. Needham Public Schools currently only works with one transportation vendor due to our contract. So that allows us to access van pool transportation. Now they are associated with other transportation companies, but Karen, I am aware, but I do feel like communicated pretty directly with families. And we can, as I told the families, work as hard as we can, with some of it being out of our hands, unfortunately. But I'm happy to reach out to those families and discuss further if you have names, Karen.
Yeah, I can send screenshots of the various people that were complaining about it.
Okay.
I don't know, off the top of my head who they are, and obviously I can't like ask if they really or validate it, but it was like many people chiming in and saying me too, me too, me too, me too. So
yeah, Karen, I think that what Stephanie said is enough validation for me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, careful with screenshots because I think the CPAC parents might be a private group for a reason.
Yeah.
So I posted in the CPAC group and said, like, we can try to bring this up at the Needham Commission on Disabilities, and people were like, that would be great.
No problem.
Yeah.
Just the actual screenshots, I'm not sure is appropriate.
Okay. And I think the important thing is to get the information to Stephanie.
Right. Like I have to give Stephanie the name, so I would have to give her, like, it's publicly posted in that CPAC forum.
Yeah.
If I can't send screenshots, and I could possibly just send the names of the people, but I mean, I think their purpose was like, I want help with this. Like, is anybody else having problems? Like, this is
So
stressing
Karen, I
me
think
out.
what Jill is
I don't-
saying is a valid point, just because I tried joining the CPAC group and they do take that very seriously. Maybe ask those
Okay.
individuals
Okay.
if you can share the name with Stephanie.
With this Stephanie.
You
Okay.
either have to share the name or, or have them contact you directly.
Contact
Stephanie.
her directly. Okay, that's fine. I
Yeah,
can do that.
anyone's welcome to contact me directly, Karen, if they feel
Directly.
comfortable as well.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So I think that would be the way to go. You know, they could contact Stephanie, and if they didn't want to do that, we could certainly forward their name with their permission. And I did talk to Tatiana about this and how we could handle this. And it really, this I think falls under our advocacy, and we could help advocate. If we need to do any more than we've already done. So we could form a subcommittee and empower, vote to empower them to talk with the school administration. But we may have already done that effectively tonight, with Stephanie's help and support. So are you comfortable with what we've outlined as actions to help from an advocacy perspective? Karen and Jill?
Yeah, I'm looking at the names, and I'm going to reach out to these people. So far, I'm seeing like 4 people.
Okay. And then you could also share Stephanie's information, in the group so that they could reach out directly to Stephanie.
Yeah. They It looks like Stephanie, I don't know, it looks like in the CPAC group, people are getting referred to Bonnie Schwartz.
Yeah, she's our out of district coordinator. So either one of us can, but I'm happy to, if you want to use me as the contact, since I was here tonight to hear.
Okay, perfect. I'll do that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. So Jill, anything else on that one, or Karen, anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Glad Stephanie was here to help with that one.
Of course, excellent. All right, so I think then we're moving on to, yes.
Can I say one
Yes,
point?
please.
Sorry, it's a related point, but because I was on my way, it could be related to both grant education and to the thing you talked about, accessibility and inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking because October is the month of white cane awareness, and mid-October is the white cane day. So I thought it's a good month to start being in touch more with schools, and we can give some talks in the schools and represent Needham Commission of Disability, what we do, what is our mission, and also about disability, what are the rights of a person with disability. So, or if, for example, students have questions, I think it would be interesting if we can give those talks to the schools in Needham. So, and I myself will be happy to do this. That was my idea.
Okay, I think that sounds terrific. Can everybody hear Pardis?
Not everything, no.
Okay, I guess the owl is only so good here in the room. So she was talking about promoting the disability awareness and the work that we do on the commission. She's offering herself to talk, in the schools to help, educate people. I'm also thinking, Lynn, when we get to the Needham Diversity Initiative, that there is that summit that happens. And Pardis could be an excellent representative to speak there as well. But I think the offer is out, for the schools as well, Stephanie, if there is a need to do that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. So moving on to autism welcoming training, Maureen, and where we are with that.
Yeah, this is kind of an ongoing saga at this point. It is not as easy as it sounded to sort of just get businesses to sign up and get them training. So there are 2 businesses that we're kind of working with. One is the Common Room, who was very interested. They had planned their training for last April. It was too close to the opening of the restaurant. They were just so busy that they decided they had to delay until the fall. And so which they told us about. And I've not gotten a date yet from them. I've texted the owner, I've texted the advocates who do the training, and I've also just texted Tom Griffin, one of the owners of the common room, to see like, did this get scheduled? And if so, when is it coming? Would like to know when it's coming up. And the other business was Valenti Farms, who expressed a lot of interest when we offered. And same thing, it was just this spring was just, I guess, an incredibly busy time for them. Not Valenti's, for the trainers. So they had also said they would work with them to do a training in the fall, of which I still don't have from them either. So I've kind of prompted both of them to get back to me and let me know if they have a date, and if they don't, can I just kind of nudge the advocates to get them to put both businesses on their calendars. So I'm hoping something will happen this fall.
All right, well, it's a work in progress. Thank you for your perseverance on this
It really
topic.
is.
So, it is important, and I make a difference. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so that segues us right into the Good Neighbor Award.
And I know I'm listed on that, but that was really Karen. That was the whole Serenity Nails, and
It was, yeah.
that initiated with Karen, so it's not really my item. I don't think. I asked
as an agenda item. Yeah, got it. I think actually, so the recognition plaque for Serenity Nails is the Good Neighbor Award, but we had talked about, that was sort of our concept to get it started. We had wanted to really launch this as, something that we could do and publicize it. Karen, what are your thoughts on where we are with not doing a one and done, but really making this something that's ongoing? And she might, are you in a spot you can talk, Karen?
Great. I didn't know I was on mute. With the conversation with the public affairs officer for the Serenity Nails Award, I want to position it as part of this larger initiative, like the Good Neighbor Awards, that we want to be doing this as part of our commitment to accessibility and inclusion in Needham. So we have to posture it correctly. I don't know, I know how to do this for corporate America. I don't know what we're allowed to say for a city. So I have to work with public affairs to figure out how we can write this, but it should be as part of the press release for Serenity Nails. It should tease this bigger idea and give a place for submissions for the next, 6 to 8 months where people can write that in.
I think that would be a terrific idea. When we had everybody's attention to talk about how to do it, and maybe Maureen, if we could ever get these welcoming trainings off the ground, I mean, that would be something, if those are welcoming businesses, those could be potential future nominees. So.
That would be what, Carol? I didn't hear that last part.
Oh, I was just going to say they could be potential future nominees that, people that are welcoming, have gone through training and are actually putting it into practice, not just going through the training, but putting it into practice. They could be future nominees, is what I'm saying.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Okay, so that sounds like a good path forward on that. I think, Karen, you were also working with Tatiana on accessibility for the Needham Center shops. You put yourself back on mute if you were talking.
Thank you. We have to do the post-summer regroup. So I'll send Tatiana my sort of 3-step email with hey, can we get this, and this? And I think by October, we could probably make progress on all of these things now that we're back. So I'll get that going too. They were going to find the contacts for each of these businesses because they're listed at the city level.
Right. And we had crafted the letter.
Yeah.
So we do have the letter. We have made some progress. We just need to sort of finish up the steps. Thank you for leading the charge.
No problem.
All right. So this next one was Pardis, but maybe Kelly, could you help Pardis to move closer to the owl so people can hear her?
Okay. I can talk louder.
Can everybody hear Pardis?
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, now.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I think the owl focuses in on her voice. So this next topic was our partnership with the Needham Community Council, and we had used some of our funding, from last year to fund some programs that they offered that related to different disability initiatives. And so Pardis has been meeting with Aisha Kelly, who is the program manager over at the Needham Community Council. So Pardis, let me stop and have you share sort of where we are.
Not the
with
council,
that.
but the CAF.
Council on Aging.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I have. Thank you.
CAT had a group of for low vision individuals. So what they're a person who was managing the group, I don't know if I should call it instructor, the person couldn't continue. So they would like to continue their group to do the low vision group, which includes a couple of tasks such as it could be counseling, it could be showing new devices for people who because most of their members they lost their vision in adulthood. So I was in some of those sessions. So they become familiarized with the new rehabilitation devices, how they can improve their life without some of their vision. So I accepted to do that instead of their previous instructor. So I think they may start it in October. I'm not sure, or November. I think they have one meeting. If I'm correct, Carol, you can correct me. I think they have one meeting in November, and after that, also they have monthly meetings for low vision groups. So, yeah, we talk with them about different stages of accepting the disability because it's not easy, and about we work on rehabilitation, how to get used to the new situation.
Okay. So that is a huge leadership role that Pardis is playing in leading the low vision group at the CAF. So thank you for your leadership. And we are trying to we have some money in our budget that's available to support some of the programming that could potentially support a speaker to come in or some other work that Pardis is doing, with the CAF and Aisha Kelly. So there's more to come on that. But I think it's terrific that she stepped up to lead that group.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm already studying in UMass Boston vision rehabilitation therapy. So I mean, other than being myself in the blindness situation, so studying this course helps me to manage it better. I hope so. I will be good. But
I have no doubt.
nervous.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So that gets us caught up on our current initiatives that were in place as we were breaking in June. And obviously there is no ADA liaison report because Tatiana's not here, but she will follow up on the things that we talked about and assigned to her. So that brings us to the updates. So Trish Stephanie for the school committee.
Yeah, I think the school year has been off to a really good start. Kids are excited to be back in buildings and enjoying getting to know their new classrooms and teachers. I think the most exciting thing that I have to share is that we are tentatively moving back into our administration building in the beginning of October, which those of us like myself that have our offices currently at Hillside, we were able to tour last week, and the building is gorgeous and accessible. There's currently the only entrance into the building now is I'm going to say north, but I could totally be off and I apologize. But the one towards the condos is the only entrance into the building now. And so that brings you straight to the elevator and to the welcome center of the building. So there's a ground level floor where student support services is located, curriculum, the production center. The main floor houses all of our registration, welcoming center, superintendent, nutrition, transportation. The third floor is our business offices, and then I'm gonna say attic, but it's not an attic. The fourth floor is totally refinished as well as a large conference area space. So maybe we can have one of our meetings there coming up once we move back into the building so that everybody can get to see the new building as well. But it is really beautiful. And they did a lot to keep like the front entrance was completely kept, even though it's not an accessible entrance. It's a conference room now that overlooks through, but you still have the archway and the brick in the conference room. So they really did a beautiful job.
It is looking very beautiful. Lynn was asking where it was, and
Yeah.
it's on Highland Avenue between St. Joe's and the high school.
Oh, okay.
It's been, under construction for so long, we probably all forgot about it.
Yeah.
It's looking
And
very
there's
good.
no more parking. There's only 3 parking spots up front, but the whole front is new and, plants and shrubberies and, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, Jeannie?
We should be doing a walkthrough, shouldn't we, of the
Oh,
building?
yes.
Oh.
Yes. So Lynn went to the training. I'm just trying to think who has been trained to go through. I know that was something that Babs used to do. So Jeannie, I'll put that on the agenda for next month because we do need to do a walkthrough. Thank you.
Is that something I can help coordinate or you'll do that, Carol?
Jeannie, do you know?
Jeannie. Oh,
Well, we need to talk to the building department. I think that would,
okay.
whoever was the lead on the construction would be the one. I'm not, the fellows that we've worked with in the past, I'm not sure they're still there. I'm blanking on the guy's name.
The building department has changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is something that Tatiana normally coordinates.
Okay.
And so it's usually Tatiana and then 1 or 2 of us who have been through the training.
Got it.
That go and do the walkthrough to make sure that it's in compliance with the ADA guidelines.
We might be able to get Babs to do a 1-day
A cameo. and train us. Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. So I'll put that on the agenda for next time and also let Tatiana know, and maybe she could reach out to the building department in the meantime. So good catch. Thank you. So Stephanie, we didn't want to interrupt your flow. Was there anything else that you wanted to say or share?
No, that's our most exciting news I guess maybe for me because I'm moving into the building, but otherwise the school year is off to a great start.
Did they give you a projected date that you'd be moving in?
We're actually waiting on the moving company right now, and then the dates are going to be, but it's within, we hope, the first 2 weeks of October.
Great. Okay, thank you. So Felix, we are up to accessible parking.
So, trying to remember which ones it's been. I drove by the VFW lot and I had notes that wanted me to look into van accessibility, but I couldn't really figure out what the ask was for that. It was one of the other members who had asked me to look into it.
I don't know, but I have 2 that are out of compliance, which are Sudbury Farms. They don't have the signs in front. And also, it might not be Serenity Nails, but that lot where Serenity is and the Dunkin' Donuts, I parked at that handicap spot on Sunday, and there's just a sign on the pavement. There's not a sign in front of the space.
So we actually investigated the one in front of the space. So they only need 1 handicap spot at that Dunkin' parking lot. So,
I see. There was a sign on one, so they don't have to have a sign on every spot.
So they used to have 2 spots, but because they're only required to have the 1 spot, they have a sign in front and it on the pavement for the 1 spot. But that very first spot there is not an accessible spot. That used to be one, but it's no longer. That's why the sign on the pavement is faded.
Oh, Well then, all right, well, I used it, so, okay.
And then the Sudbury Farms, I thought that we looked into the signage and it was technically compliant, even though it wasn't practically.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't know how that resolved, so.
But I know I had a note about the VFW lot, and but I couldn't figure out exactly what the member was talking about with that. It was coming from a different member. It was something about van accessible parking.
I do know there's four areas in that lot, because I'm there a lot. I don't see there's an issue.
I didn't think so either.
Yeah, there is a van accessible area too, with the white chalk lines on it. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my feeling as well. Thank you, Officer Kelly.
Yeah.
And really, it's been pretty good with the accessible parking, and the issues that we had with Little Spoon have been resolved. I brought it up during their special permit hearing because they had to get a permit for outdoor seating, and so that it could come in front of the other board that I serve on. And I brought it up there as well, and they had it resolved very quickly before that, which is good.
Excellent. Nothing like seizing the opportunity, so.
So those
All right.
are really
Anything
all I
else?
had for accessible parking issues. So looks
Okay,
like Jeannie
Jeannie.
has a question.
Yeah, I have another access concern. Last spring, I think I reported to you all that I had talked to the director of the library about the sign that's supposed to be at the back entrance. And he promised me that they had to change the sign or refurbish the sign or something, and it would be, back in place. I don't go to the library a lot, but I've been there several times this summer. It has never been up. And each time I talk to the person at the desk and ask them to send a message to the director that we're very eager to have the sign in place. I was there this morning and did the same, but I think I will call the director again this week and try to find out what's going on, because this has dragged on a very long time.
Yeah, and I go to the library a lot as well, so, and I try to say something every time I'm there because.
Have you ever seen it up?
It's there very sporadically, but
Okay.
people park in that, I say something directly to them, so I'm not
Yeah.
making many friends, because it's dangerous. Thank you.
Yeah, it's there very sporadically. I've gone there many times this summer, and sometimes it's there, but usually it's not.
Right. So I think it's because I have to drag it in and out, so I don't know if there could be some kind of permanent sign, and then that would resolve that issue, but thank you, Jeannie, for contacting them. And Lynn?
Yeah, spring.
It
we
might
had
be
the-
just an issue of the janitor, whoever it is, remembering to set it out. Because I haven't seen it. So if you've seen it, it means it's up and refurbished or whatever. So they should be able to use it every day.
Right.
I'll get to the bottom of it if I can.
Yeah.
So I have a question. In the spring, we had the new gentleman that was in charge of road projects or whatever, and we talked about handicap parking, and
Yes.
I had suggested that while the post office on Great Plain Avenue is federal property and they have handicap parking there, the post office up in the Heights has no handicap parking anywhere nearby. And so he had said he was going to look into, because I asked, how did they decide where they put handicap parking on the street in downtown Needham? The only space on the streets is the one across from the new drugstore where Harvey's used to be, and there's no others anywhere in town.
Okay, that is a good point, because I go to that one all the time too. So Alexa, could you capture that in the minutes, and then we can have Tatiana follow up with him to find out where we are on that, because I do think that's an important one, and that's one that people, could really use, and you can't. If there's no.
So that one, they said it's going to be a while because it's in their work plan, but They don't know
It's in the
when
minutes.
because it's such a small project.
Okay, all right, so it is in the work plan, then, well, that is at least good to know.
And what about?
Because they have to do
more
the whole break, the whole sidewalks, like the
Yeah.
whole break and the curb has to be done.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do that for one off for one spot. They're going to kind of do it when they're already doing work on the road. So I think it's at 2025 maybe, or 26.
Right. And just overall, looking at the number of handicap spots on the street, you know, it seems in other towns, there are more on the street. I know there's some in the back lots, but, you know, if somebody wants to go to any of the businesses that have just the front entrances, it's difficult, so.
Right, and he did talk about that they were correcting these things as we did new construction, and all of that construction on Great Plain Avenue, I did notice that they put in those rumble strips, I'm not sure what they call this, not what they're called, but the raised, pavements. So, they are making improvements, it seems like, as they're doing construction, so.
Shouldn't that be brought to the attention of the visioning committee? They're the ones looking at the downtown
why-
and how it's gonna be
That's
laid
kind of why I
out.
was thinking, like, we really should have a seat on that.
Right. Well, can't we just reach out to them and say we should have a
Yeah.
seat? Like,
That
Why
would
can't we
be
do
to
that?
the select board because it hasn't met yet. They're just starting to like form it.
okay.
Okay, so let's capture that for Tatiana. Okay, so I think that brings us then, if there's no other discussion, to the diversity initiative.
So they started their meetings up again. They're not very transparent about them. If you miss the meeting, there's no minutes of the way to find out what happened or was discussed. But they have set a date of November 5th, Sunday afternoon from 1 to 5. I forget what the location is, but I will reach out to them and find out more details.
For the diversity summit?
Diversity Summit, yeah.
Okay, so I would, because they have been great about including us in the past, and I know Manny Iyer gave a really effective, presentation a couple of years ago. And so I think Pardis is, offering to talk, to give a talk as well.
Yeah.
So I think that, we could connect on that. Okay. And the LEPC and Maureen, if there's an update and we can see, since you had mentioned to me that you're not able to attend the meetings anymore, that maybe we could see if there's anybody else that wants to, or if we need to do that, but maybe you could just give us the latest and greatest.
Since I haven't been to anything, they break over the summer, so they didn't have any meetings, and I'm not sure if they met yet in September. I can look out to them. I'd be willing to just keep an eye on their agendas to see if it's worth going. An awful lot of them really aren't relevant, I would say, for us. But I would like to actually see if they could do. I think I'll reach out to Kristen Scoble, who is the town employee who chairs that committee, just to see if they can. I don't think they have to do a whole separate meeting, but maybe kind of keep people, disabled people, anyone on their radar. So for some of these crisis interventions and all these sort of things that they come together for natural disasters and whatever, it's like make that part of their agenda, like make sure that there's a plan for people who might be in a wheelchair. There's a plan for people with vision impairments. There's a plan for people if evacuations are needed, like, what's the plan for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's too critical, that we've got to be connected in some way, but I do understand that often the topics, aren't relevant. So, that would be great.
Okay, I'll reach out to Kristen and, some of them have been very disaster specific, like I don't know, the whole thing with the Apple store down at the Derby shops and that whole response to that. It was just really not relevant, but that's all it focused on. So they do some of those, so it's not probably worth it to attend all of them. But I'll ask Kristen about this.
Okay, excellent, thank you. So I think those are all of our updates. Is there any new business that anybody wants to bring up? Jeannie?
I was just wondering if we know the status of the accessible voting machines, given that the election is on the horizon, and maybe if we need to do some PR in the next 50 days to make sure people know that there are accessible machines at every precinct.
I think that is an excellent idea, and we should absolutely promote it. And maybe there's, some way that we can even put something, on the website or get some communication out. So I would, I guess we need to follow up with Tatiana on that one. I will add that. Anything else? Any other new business? Okay. So our next meeting is October 15th, and I guess we will go back to Zoom until the new school building is opened and Stephanie can host us there. I want to thank Officer Kelly for hosting us here tonight. It's great to be together, and Jill, thank you so much for coming. It was really great to have you. Good to see everybody on Zoom, and we'll let those of you on Zoom go. And can we get a tour, Officer Kelly, or not?
Sure, how much of a tour?
I don't know. So anyway, we'll let you all go on Zoom. Have a good night. Thank you. And
night.
We'll be in touch and see you in October on the 15th.
Thank you.
good.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I have a question on 15, isn't it holiday, is Indigenous Day, which day of?
Oh, that's
14th.
Monday the 14th.
Yeah.